once again. It's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show. Yeehaw!
Good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing on a fine Sunday morning? Beautiful day, got about 70 in my area for a high today. Do have rain coming in Tuesday, and we're thankful for the rain because we are running behind on rain. We hope that your weekend has been good, and then as you start a new week today, we hope that you'll get it started the right way and seek the Lord, search out for the Lord, store your treasures in heaven, all those good things that we need to do. Well, it's been a busy weekend, had a lot of things going on, a lot of activities with us here at Southern Fried, and then also just personal, busy things we had going on. Kind of moved around a little bit, had some interesting things going on this weekend as far as like going to the state park, and that was a great setting and met some people. Really nice, and then worked a little bit yesterday, or quite a bit actually, and but worked on things with podcast too, and then glad to be here this morning. So, that's God does not need rest, never, but it was a time to repose, a time to look at as He made everything on that seventh day, then He took a repose and looked at the creation. It was good, and so now we have this Sunday morning that we, well, not all, but most people get up and go to worship on. They have faith. Some do on other days, but we're grateful we have today. It's another day. It's another breath of air in our lungs, and God has been so good to us. We can say that. There's several songs that have been written like that over the years. We think about how blessed we are. One of my favorite songs is "I Am Blessed," and I truly am blessed. I've been blessed to be on this earth for these many years, and it's a blessing to have my family that is now including several grandchildren. You know, when you see friends pass away, you and some that are younger than you, getting various diseases and things, or sometimes just things stop working and they pass on. It just makes you stop and think for a moment, and kind of take a minute and think about, have you told somebody that you love them today, or is there something you need to get done? Is there something that's left undone, or something like that? So we know people who have, they have had death in their family. We know some folks that we have known who have passed in the last month or so, including up until recently. That's real recent to us, and we know some that are battling. They're battling every day, the awful cancers and whatever it may be, and our heart goes out. And they're fighting, they're praying, and people are praying for them. And we're getting, they're getting tired. The body gets tired sometimes, and the will is very strong, but the body is tired. And so I want to look at a few verses this morning. I was going to give it just a minute and let some folks join in. Good morning, Platinum Winds there on Instagram. Appreciate you others that have joined in with us this morning, and hope you're doing well. I hope that that things are good your way, and we wish the best for everybody. I never understood people that wish bad upon anybody. We wish the best on everybody. Our heart goes out to everybody, even those that would think we're the enemy. Bible tells us to pray for them, to love them. And, if they lose someone in their family, my heart, I pray for them, my heart goes out. So, yeah, good Sunday morning. Good morning. And again, if you have family, yes, it has been a good weekend. It's going good, and getting ready for church. And just going to look at a few verses this morning. But yes, and I hope it's going well for you as well. I hope you feel good. I hope you're having a good a good time with family and friends, or whatever it is, and that we appreciate each and every day and take part in. We don't know if it's our last day, so we don't try to dwell on that, but we should live it like it's the last day, and just enjoy it. It doesn't mean you have to be active and going. If we say down here in the South, 90 to nothing, but it does mean that we should live it with a day with no regrets. And there are some days that we might have regrets about how things went in our life, or how things didn't go the way we wanted, or things we should have got done and we didn't. We were talking to Steve Pond on Friday night, and he was talking about being procrastinator and professional procrastinator. We were kind of joking about that. But it's true. I mean, sometimes we do procrastinate and we don't get things done that we should. Having been in ministry for many, many years and having done a lot of funerals, unfortunately, which is an honor. I say unfortunately because the grief and you miss people, but not in every one. There may have been in every one, but in many, in several, there were the inner sanctum of the family. I mean, the ones that are very close. And family doesn't mean they're blood kin. It can just be somebody that's always been there. And that's what I mean. They're the inner circle of the family. And there was a bunch of times where there was somebody who had great regret because it ended at the wrong time for them. They didn't, they ended angry. They were arguing with their family, that person that passed away. It was not a good day or days or weeks leading up, and now it's too late. And I always say, sometimes lose the argument, win the war. That's just something I say. It doesn't mean you have to compromise your beliefs, but sometimes we continue a fight over something that we may not can win, but all we do is lose a relationship. Sometimes we just have to agree to disagree. Sometimes we just have to take the higher road, and many times actually take that high road and to keep a relationship somewhat close, because after all, the alternative is no good anyway. And we just have to sometimes agree not to talk about certain things or bring up certain subjects, and something about when you just tell somebody you love them, it just sort of stops them cold in their tracks. They don't really think about the fight as much when you say that. And they may say something snarky like, "Oh yeah, you really love me," but they'll reveal their true feelings to you. And I've seen that many times. But how sad it is in that last, I mean, there's different types of traditional, funerals and things, but most of the time, most of the funerals I do, you have the family that comes in, and it could be a last viewing. Some request no viewing, but it's a last moment for family to gather around, and as the person who is, taking care of the service, this leading the service, the spiritual part, we are asked to pray with the family. And that is a couple things about that. And then we'll get into some verses this morning. All this applies to everything that I was going to say this morning. But one of the things that, there's a couple things about that when you're praying with that family. One of all, it's an extreme honor, because even though you may be close, you're not the sons, you're not the daughters, you're not the brother, sister, or things like that, or the nieces, nephews, grandchildren, whatever. You're in there with people that this was their grandma, or this was their wife, or whatever it was, or this was their dad, or whatever, and they've allowed you to be in there. They want you in there, and so you're outside the family, and God, you're the last one to see them say goodbye. It's a very touching, heartfelt moment that sometimes is very, very difficult. And it can be very difficult to leave that room. But I understand, Platinum Winds. I do understand that, and and yeah, when I was saying that, that's one of those things. Politics, sometimes you have to just leave alone when you're around. Maybe you believe different. Again, you love them. It's just, we love each other. It's just why argue? Because you can't win anyway. I mean, if somebody believes something, they believe it. But you're in that room and you're saying goodbye. They're saying goodbye, and you're trying to give them a word of comfort and a prayer of comfort, and it is important. It is important. And many people will come up and shake your hand or hug your neck or both, and they do not even say through tears, "Thank you, preacher," or whatever. So you You say what you can, and you just try to be led of the Holy Spirit to give them something. And then we lead the, the casket out to the chapel, or if you move into a church or wherever it is, and then you lead a service. And the whole way you're just praying, you're thinking, you've got selected scriptures, you've got, sort of an outline of what you want to say, but there's always things that you just get on the fly, as we say, and you're looking for something, because this is it. This is the last time. And then at the gravesite is I usually have, scriptures there, obviously, in prayer. That's as far as we can go. And then you're here with the family. But what my point is, that's a very tough time. That is one of the toughest times for anybody. I don't care who you are, to go through a funeral service, and it stays with you. You don't forget those things. I remember when my mom and dad both passed. I remember those services. I didn't lead them. I just didn't feel like that was for me to do. But I was wanted to be there, sitting in the pew with my family, and others that have lost. My mother-in-law, different ones, and I actually did that one. Was asked to, and I did that one. But which and that's great. It's an honor, but it's just you're trying to give family something. So anyway, my verses this morning, your church before church. I hope you go this morning. But if you don't, here's something for you. And the Bible's full of great promises. In fact, you can buy those little books in the store, God's promises to you, or God's little promise book, or whatever they're called. And God gives us a lot of promises. He does. These are among the best. I mean, they're all great. They're among the best. And I think because in our in our sin nature body, and even though we're if we're a born again Christian, we get it that we're going to live forever. But it's really hard to take that in these minds that we have now. This body that's failing us. You've got aches and pains. Even young people can have massive health problems, and it's not just an age thing. I've known many people who were very, very sick every day, got just about everything you can think of, and suffered with debilitating, crippling things to their body, and they struggle every day. But the older you get, certainly you really, these verses really stand out to you. And I'm in Revelation, and I'm going to read the first 4 verses, and then I want to look at really specifically verse 4. It says, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And now John saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband." The church is the bride of Christ. "And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God." Verse 3 is really good. That he is our God, he's going to be with us. But when you get down to verse 4, this is a power. This is one of those power-packed verses that really touches people. And I'm going to tell you, yes, I will be in later today. I'll be in at 3:30 during prayer time, and then I will also be in tonight at 9 p.m. for the news desk, which that's more of my political show. So we do a couple hour or two, depends on what's going on. But we'll be talking the appointments tonight. So to answer your question, at Platinum Winds, we will be back in at 3:30 and at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. So verse 4, "And God shall wipe away all tears." Wow. I mean, that's just, it's amazing when you preach these verses, or, you'll see people wiping away tears as you're saying this, as you're preaching it, as you're making points off of it. God will wipe away all tears. And there's nothing wrong with a good cry. I'm not suggesting that. But because we're crying, there's something wrong. In fact, a good cry is healthy. Something that's better than holding it in. But wouldn't it be better not to have to cry? And the fact that God will wipe away, it didn't say some or a few or one or two or most, it said all. I love that word, AWL. That's a promise of God. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. You're not going to have to see people cry anymore. Praise the Lord. As a guy, it's one of the things that gets a husband or a boyfriend or whatever it is the most. You start crying, it just kills us, because we're fixers. We want to fix stuff. And it's like, hey, what do I do? It's just not good. You're crying. Oh, Lord, we got problem. Houston, the crying going on with, and guys don't want to, sometimes they're trying not to cry themselves. It's like, what can I do? I'll do anything. What can I do to get you to stop crying? But you just got to let those things run their course. But yeah, God said He'd wipe away all tears. That's pretty strong, right? Wouldn't you like to have a day, just a promise that you're living in? I mean, it's the promise, but you're living in that time frame. No more tears. No more getting phone calls or communication or somebody telling somebody real close to you, something bad wrong, and it's just it just touches you so hard you have to cry in your life. And I've had people say I just can't stop crying, and sometimes there's things that go on, and some people have to go see a doctor and stuff like that, and it just and I know there's changes and chemical changes and hormonal changes, and there's those times where people say, I just can't stop crying. My wife went through that. I get it. Very hard time for her, hard time for me, because again, I want to fix it. There's nothing I can do. So there's nothing you can do. It would come at the most weird times too, and it's like, how do I fix this? But one day there will be no more of that. No more tears. Tough to see a child cry. That'll grip your heart. Seeing a child cry. Wow, you know, I mean, as your mom was like that. Yeah, God bless all of you who are joining this morning. God bless you. Thank you. And we hope you get a blessing here. But yeah, just crying all the time, or a child cries, and the child is, man, as a man, or as a dad or whatever, and a granddad, somebody's made them cry. You gotta, okay, why you crying? Let me fix this, because you're kind of ready to go in overdrive. Who's made my baby cry? What in the world? I'm raising a granddaughter. Oh, sometimes she just needs to come give me a hug and cry. And it's a tough age. She's 12 and going on forever. And school's tough, and somebody, she's tough as nails, but she's got that sensitive side, and sometimes somebody says something and she gets her feelings hurt, and she's just sad about something. And there were times that she was missing people in her life, that she didn't see, and we'd just sit and she'd just have a good cry and lay on my shoulder. And I remember how many times I looked at my shirt and it would be tear stained. And that's like the altar in church. They like to keep them nice and clean. And you know what? A good altar, to me, I like seeing tear stains in it. So I don't need to see the perfect little altar. The perfect coloring. It looks like it's just come off the assembly line. It's perfect. Give me some tear stains on the altar. I'll take that any day, because that means some people's came and laid their burden down. They've got a burden. They came and laid it down to the Lord. But yeah, I'd have those tear stains on my shirt. It's precious. And the fact that you were who they came to, and we should appreciate that. But He said He'd wipe away all tears from their eyes. Praise the Lord for that. How about this one? And there shall be no more death. That's going to produce the tears a lot of times. No more death. No more death. That we can't. It's hard to comprehend this one. We can almost think, okay, just no more crying. It doesn't mean cold. It doesn't mean we don't have compassion still. It just means no more tears. No reason to cry. We're not going to have those separations. And when I was going back to the funeral scene, that time of separations, there are times that somebody will, a lot of times you see daughters do this, and you'll see a daughter come up and they'll just cup their mom or dad's face, and they'll say, it'll make you cry, and they'll say, love you mom, love you dad, bye. I'll see you, in the future. I'll see you in heaven. And they kiss them on the forehead or the cheek or something. It's the most tender moment. If you've been there, you know what I mean. And that makes them cry more. And you're trying, because there's a few times I'm having to wipe away tears in my eyes, but that moment, you're wishing there's anything you could do to stop. My mind sometimes goes to, back to the scriptures and the instances where Jesus raised the dead, because He's going to raise all of us in the resurrection, I know. But still, that moment you're like, can we just raise them from the dead, Lord? Can we just stop this? This is a hard moment. This is so hard. You see the little kids, telling grandparents bye, or their mom, brothers, sisters, even. It's just it's tough. And so no more death. No more death. If you've lived any time on this sphere we call Earth, if you've lived any time at all, you've probably been to a funeral home a few times, or you've gotten that phone call that, hey, so-and-so's passed. Maybe it was expected. It still hits like a ton of bricks. I always say, people say that, and I know nobody knows what to say, right? Nobody knows what to say it when you're, somebody tells you that somebody's died, And one of the things, though, just because they don't know what to say, they'll say, wasn't expected. And I know what they mean. Like was they in bad health and it was going downhill? It really don't matter. It really don't matter if it was a car wreck or, their heart stopped or they've been, sick for 4 years with battling cancer. When that moment comes, it doesn't really matter. It's the same. It's the same hurt. And that next part, he says there's neither sorrow nor, and he brings up the crying again. He said neither, because of death, and that's why it's it's real close right there, the sorrow and the crying. Separation is hard. I heard this one time. I share it in a lot of funerals, and it's really, especially, well, it's really, I'm talking about fellow believers. I know where they're going. I'm a firm believer in, the salvation of Jesus, and you just know where they're going as much as anybody can know. I can't see inside of somebody, but their life poured out that they were, that they were born again, dedicated Christian, names written in the Lamb's Book of Life, the best you can know as a human, witness, bearing witness, and all that stuff. Anyway, I always tell them this, and I read it one time. I didn't come up with it, but I read it, and I've always loved it. I keep it for my own self. Is that when somebody dies, they went to heaven. It's like you're standing at the seashore and they're on a ship, and you're waving to them as long as you can. And as they start to get out of view, you can almost see them, and all of a sudden as they completely go out of your view, but they're coming in view of somebody else on another shore because they were headed for a place. And I'm thankful there is a place. There's a place we go that is promised to us if we're, one of God's children. And that they're coming into view, and as much as we're sorrow to see them go, the others are very excited. To them, it probably seemed like a millisecond, if that, even that, in heaven. Time don't have no measure, I'm sure. But that they were, waving them in, cheering them on that they're coming that way. And I think it gives comfort. It does for me that someone, has went home. But no more death, neither sorrow nor crying. Sorrow can be lots of things, not just death. Sorrow can take many forms. And so we understand that, some people just have, there's sorrow. There's a lot going on in their life. Could be a lot of things. That could, somebody loses a pet. Those are big things. If you're a pet owner and, you got your furry friends, little animals that are running around, that one's just very difficult too. And maybe, you'll see that too. And it's very difficult. It's very hard to get over. So there's a lot of sorrow. Sorry, the coffee is good this morning. Very, 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 very good. And then I want to get to this one here. Neither should there be any more pain. Now, there can be lots of different kinds of pain, but when we think of pain, we think of that physical pain, but there can be emotional pain and, different things, but physical pain. And it's a part of our lives. We're in these bodies that are breaking down. It's a sin cursed world. The body dies a little bit every day. It's a hard thought, right? We're getting closer to our death every day, and things start not working right. And the more that the older you get, the more things don't work as well, and you go to doctors, and you find yourself on medication. I remember when I was, my grandfather died when I was 5, and it was a heart situation, and it was just God's timing. And years later, they could probably extended his life, but he was, in his 60s, so how much longer I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I know where he went. I'll see him again. It's been 1970 till now. It's how long I've not seen my grandfather. But I'll tell you what, we had a great time in the 5 years that I knew him. I was only 5 when he passed. And I have great memories at such a young age, great memories. But one of the memories I have, and they both, my grandmother who's passed as well, and my grandfather, but especially my grandfather, I just remember his. They had this type of cabinet that, it had dishes and everything. There's a word for it. I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, it's not a full cabinet, but it's like has a shelf, and it has dishes you put in the back. But on the very top of that was all their medications. I don't remember, just little kids. I can't remember exactly what it looked like, just a little bit. But I remember him going up to there and keeping medications up and away. It's what you do. They had a lot of grandkids coming up. So all the medications are in a row, lined up. They'd always make sure the labels were to the front. and he had like 20 something medications he was on. I could not believe it, you know. And that was, of course, now that was probably people look back and go, well, that's probably one of the things that got him. That didn't want too much, but you know, they give you something for everything, right? And he would get all those down. And I don't have exactly what I said, but I remember one time asking him about it. You know, why, you know, Grandpa, why do you need all of that? He said, well, he was telling me different ones. I can vaguely remember him telling me different ones, what they did. Well, I got to take this for this, and this for this, and this for this, and I would say, well, I don't know. I remember asking him something about, well, you know, why you got to take all this? He said, well, I'm getting old. Things aren't working right. You know, it's breaking down. But one of the things he told me, I'll never forget, he said, I'm in a lot of pain. He said, I have a lot of pain. And he said, there's a couple of things there to help with pain. And as a 5-year-old, you're thinking pain. I mean, what? It doesn't even compute. I mean, you're 5 years old. If you fall down and, bang your knee on something, you get it, but it's like there and gone. But there are people, and we know them. It could be you this morning. They are in constant pain. And that is one of the most debilitating things ever, depending on, and it is the level can definitely intensify, but some people are never free of pain. And this one, I can tell you what, this is a shouting moment. All these are, but this one right here, this is maybe the biggest one for the living because they're in pain. And they'll testify to it. They'll say, I hurt all the time. They'll come to church, they hurt. They hurt. They said, well, it doesn't matter if I stay home or if I go, I'm hurt. Doesn't matter where I go, what I do. I don't sleep good because I got pain. How many people do we know on pain management? And it's not really managing it because the pain is still there and they're just getting more on whatever. I'm not saying anything against it. I'm just saying it's the truth. I mean, the more you take, the more you have to have, and it just, it's not. I'll choose that for another time. But it's bad too, and but you're in pain all the time, and you're trying to get away from pain. Think of a toothache. I mean, it's always there if you have a toothache, and it's one of those things that'll just take you down. I mean, you can't function. You go to the dentist, you're like, do whatever you got to do. I got to get rid of the pain. And God's gave us that promise that He said, neither shall there be any more pain. Because He knows you got pain. He knows what's going on because of sin. These bodies break down. His whole creation. We see the seasons, things grow, then they die, they fall to the earth, that cycle of life, and we're part of that. And we get older, and we're like that tree that's getting ready to fall over, right? I mean, that's the way it feels. And God gives us this wonderful and special promise of no more pain. Now, again, I know there's other pains, emotional pain, and that you could go through, and different, mental health pain, whatever. But the physical pain is very real, and there could be, like think of soldiers that come back from, even if they went in war, you still can have physical pain for what you put your body through in the military service. And that's one of those things that they battle is physical pain, along with the emotional, the PTSDs or whatever it is. God bless our veterans. But that pain that they have, that physical pain that is always there, and their body's broken down. They're wearing heavy packs or on long marches. Sometimes there's, accidents, things happen, and you do that for a few years, and you put your body through the paces, and you're going to have some pain. And a lot of us do. If the weather changes, right, we have pain. there's things that we struggle with. If you've ever broken a bone, and you have pain. If you have arthritis this morning, you got pain. Mr. Arthur, as they like to call him in the church. A lot of my folks at church are 60 and up, and they're faithful, and they hurt. And that's usually when you ask them how they're doing. Well, I'm doing okay. Mr. Arthur's not visiting me too bad today for arthritis. And, arthritis can be debilitating. But there's been several surgeries, in the church. One gentleman's shoulder pain. His shoulder is just, he had to rebuild. They had basically about rebuilding the shoulder. He was in physical pain. He couldn't sleep. The pain was waking him up. He's a tough guy, military guy, tank guy, tough. No, the man's man. He said the pain keeps him awake. I mean, that's just the way it is, no matter how tough you are. And so God says, neither shall there be any more pain. And to finish that verse, for the former things are passed away. The former things are passed away. And then in verse 5, he says, he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I will make all things new. He said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. So, that includes that new body. Got a new body waiting on us. Praise the Lord. I don't know what it's, everything about it. I just know it's a new body, and we won't feel those things anymore. And I'm thankful for that. You hear that in the church a lot, a testimony of I'm excited that I'm going to have a new body one day. And then, there's people like maybe they were born, they couldn't walk, and there's just always that wonderful thought of, running across heaven with new legs. And, it's a comfort. It is a comfort to those. And God gave us this. This is the very end of the Bible. This is at the very end. Sorry if you're not hearing me good. Michael says he's not hearing me, but anyway, we're glad to have you here this morning, and have a good day at church, and we're fixing to go. But those are great promises from Revelation. So have a great day. God bless. We'll be back on this afternoon for prayer time, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Tell somebody about the Lord today. Go to church, support your pastor, and tell him you appreciate what he does. It'll lift him up. Tell him you enjoyed the sermon today. If you didn't, tell him that too. He'd like to know it. We'll see you this afternoon. God bless.
Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show.